Thank you, guys. I'm really excited to be here, and I can remember coming to Ag Media Summit many moons ago, and career paths led me into different arenas, so I haven't been back a lot, and I'm really excited to be back in front of some of my friends, colleagues, and talking about digital branding is something I truly get excited about. So, and I'm still seeing faces in the room that I recognize, so if I get a little goofy. So I want to talk about branding for a little bit, and digital media and the way branding works can be a little bit different than branding in other forms. So let's talk about branding's going to pull together a variety of components, different factors. We're going to talk through each of those. We're also going to see some social media accounts that I think do a really good job of branding. And then I want to show you some of the tools that I use in the course of my work in branding. And I do things not only for myself, but I do them for some brands now and then, so you'll get to see a variety of things. For me, I think branding is one of the, whoa, I just sounded really different, didn't I? I'm going to try and talk more softly then, because that felt a little loud in the room. How many of you guys know more about what branding feels like, or you see it and you react to it and you're like, that's good branding? Like, she's with teal hat and she's wearing a teal hat. Like the image just is created just like that. Keep coming in. There's plenty of room up front. And I love that for you guys. But for me, when I think of branding, it's what does it do for the company, for the people that are using branding, right? And so I want to tell you about a brand my family has a very close relationship with now, before we get into all the hows and whats. So if I were to tell you my family likes to do things like go camping and kayaking, I have multiple women in my family, more women than men, and one of us bought a car and started telling the others about that car over time. Can anybody guess what car may now be pervasive in my family? The fact that so many of you said Subaru and you didn't ride with me last night cracks me up. Because when you look at my mom's house sometimes, so I live in St. Louis, my sister and my mom live in Memphis, my other sister lives in North Carolina, I have other nieces in different parts of North Carolina. You can look at my mom's front yard and driveway and think she's running a used Subaru dealership, because we have gotten such a close affinity for that brand. And when you see the ads, it reminds me how much I love Subaru. You know, most of us have had pets, whether we have them now or not. We love animals, we love the outdoors. And quite frankly, one of the things I think Subaru's done as a brand better than most is the reliability and the safety things are always there underlying it. But unlike Volvo, that's not their primary message, right? So it does take some adventuresome people, a little different, but we still want our four-wheel drive kind of thing. So I just wanted to mention one brand. Digitally, it takes on a different look. So when you start thinking about digital branding versus old school branding, people are seeing it and touching it and feeling it far more often than I'm in my car, for instance, right? I mean, I drive a lot, but not that much. And I will see things on my phone far more frequently. And so when it's done well, woohoo, it's really done well. When it's not done well, oof, right? Like, you guys have all seen something that just didn't quite feel right in branding, where you kind of go, God help them. Or it may even get you to talk negatively about the brand really fast. I'm seeing a lot of heads nodding, yeah. Okay, the thing about digital branding though, is it can really set you apart in a crowded feed. people like me will grab our phones and we will be scrolling with the thumb. And we do it sort of mindlessly, disassociative behavior. But if we see a brand we like, we stop. We do it every time. And so branding can set you apart a little bit. One of the things that might get us a little bit crosswise with brands is when they forget to who they should put up at the front. Usually it should be your customer. Maybe it's your investor. Maybe it's your employees. I don't know. If you're doing LinkedIn, it may be 2 different groups, prospective employees and employees. Maybe your customers, right? But what happens bad in the world of digital branding more than anything is people chasing engagement and likes. They forget who they're supposed to be talking to, and because so many people are hitting like or commenting, or maybe it's trolls, they're coming in hating on you, they forget who they're really supposed to be talking to, and they start talking to people that are giving them engagement. And having been the director of social media at Monsanto, believe me, it's easy to get distracted by the people who are trolling you or the people who are loving on you. But your content also has to fit the company and the products when you're doing branding. So as we talk about this, some of the things, this is all the background stuff. Now we're going to get into the actual branding parts of it. I want you to know sometimes doing the digital branding, doing branding efforts feels uncomfortable. Like, am I going too far? I want to say in branding, as in most of life, I feel like you should get yourself uncomfortable sometimes. If you're not getting uncomfortable, then you're probably not ever going far enough. Same thing for speaking in front of microphones. People who hate speaking, they probably need to do it a little bit so they can figure out when they might be comfortable doing it versus not. So as we talk through this, I want you to think about where are some areas that maybe you're not currently doing branding, even if you're doing some great branding work. Where are some other areas that you might want to test out? What we're talking about is not an all for one, one for all kind of thing. Some brands are going to work really good with some components, and some brands are going to want to shut other components off altogether, all right? That's all well and good. All right, so let's talk about what really it is that comes together to make a digital brand. When you start thinking about how to convey a brand, voice is an amazingly large part of it. That can be voice in text, it can be audio, it can be video, it can be whatever, but the voice and the sound, how many of you know what TV show, because it goes bum bum at the beginning, right? Or if you use Apple products, you know they don't make a sound when you open them up unless you've queued it up, and if you use Windows, there used to always be a sound. Sounds are part of the brand on a regular basis. So I want to think really hard with you about what that voice might look like. And so I want to go through some examples. What you want to do is identify some of your core values, make sure that's coming through in your voice, right? You also want to use that as part of your tone. The words you're using, the way you use the words, if you use a lot of exclamation points, if you stay the hell away from exclamation points, right? Like all of those things are part of your voice. You do want to have some consistency from your website to your social media, one channel of social media to another, and you need to be able to adapt a little bit for different audiences. So, your Facebook audience is different than your TikTok audience, right? You don't have to make your voice incredibly different, but you might adapt it slightly for the older demographic that's on Facebook versus TikTok, because they may not even understand some of the vocabulary if you get too crazy. So what kinds of feel to voice? These are just some of the words, and quite frankly, if you're a one-person shop, I would suggest you try and figure out some of the words on this that feel really comfortable to you. And if you're a multi-person shop, start thinking of some of the words up there that you think fit your brand. You may need to talk that through with a team of folks when you get back. But now more than ever, you need to find a way to be able to articulate this for other folks. It's hard to get people to write in the right voice if you're not able to tell them what that is. So, do you want to be conversational? Do you want to be authoritative and educational, right? Some brands don't care if they're condescending because they're only trying to talk to PhDs, right? So they're not looking to talk to people like me that don't understand at their PhD level. That's a really niche brand, I hope. You probably ought to have some awareness of how it comes off. But do you want to seem really conversational? That works for some brands, and for others, it just doesn't have a play. If you haven't noticed, there are controversial brands out there who just want to get in your face on anything. And there are some that really want to be calm and supportive and all of those different pieces. So thinking about all of these components really does help you start thinking about your voice. I'd also ask you to think about, are you going to use consistent personalities? Are you going to have a few key voices in the business? How can you get people to understand your voice and be able to use it? Right, so if you think about you're working at a corporation and you have 15 members of the leadership team and 5 of them are people that you can put with media on any given day. How do they know how to sound like the company and themselves both? That understanding of the company voice and accessibility to the people that are actually delivering your messages is really important. Are you going to have signature music that plays at the beginning of your podcast or whatever it is so that people immediately know the sound? Are you going to do something that's always going to reoccur on the beginning of each video or at the end of each video? All of those things are important. And I mentioned a minute ago how you articulate your voice for other people. In this space, where knowing who you are as a company and as a brand and being able to get other people to write that and deliver that, if you've ever done executive communications, you've absolutely had to get it because you have to be able to write in the company voice and the voice of a leader in your company. Now, though, we also want our AI tools to be able to be supportive in our voice. Because what you don't want to do is for them to write for a kindergarten audience when you're writing for a farmer audience. And so how can you translate those things into tools is becoming more and more a piece of it. The next part in conveying branding is really visual identity. And I'd go so far as to say, in the old school, it was just logo, color palette, and fonts. It's a lot more than that in digital. So you can't kick it old school and get away with that only. So now in terms of your video, are you going to have overlays? Are you going to have text flying in? Are you going to have graphics coming in? Are you going to have a feel like photographers really get this, right? Like an image feel. Are there filters that you're going to use every time? Are you going to set up something so that all your photos feel like you? They're bright, they're highly saturated, or they're really earth tones, or whatever it is. All of those things go into your visual look and identity. I also love props. In ag, we use props all the time, and I don't mean animals or something in the background. I mean like our logos on our shirts and our hats. That's pretty common. Sometimes it's a product in the background. Thinking about how you use props as part of your visual identity makes a lot of sense. Also, location can be a big one. For a lot of companies, if you're going to talk about something highly scientific, do you want to be in the field, or do you need to be in a place that conveys that science? That's a really different call for different brands. Some brands want their science field driven and understood that way. Others like the idea of making it something that's been created by deep science, lots of thinking internally. Think about those faces that you use, or maybe you don't use any faces, right? Also, again, I'm going to say it time and time again, be consistent across channels. Cadence is another part of digital branding that you need to think about. And it can be cadence, it can be rhythm, it can be whatever you feel most comfortable. A metronome kind of works for me, but regular posting and things is one way to get mind share. You know, granted, if you haven't posted on Threads in a really long time, it will tell me that so-and-so posted on Threads for the first time in a really long time. But is that really the message you want to sell? That you only are there on occasion if you're a brand that needs that channel and that audience? You need to figure out what the cadence is. I don't think you need to do it. There used to be people would always say, well, if you're not posting 3 times a week, or if you're not posting 5 times a day, or I don't think that works across so many different kinds of brands and businesses, but I do think you need to figure out what that cadence looks like and try to stick to it. It's not the world's not going to end because you didn't, but each time you do it, you're losing a little bit of your brand share and you're losing a little bit of your engagement. And I also think content mixture matters. If you're going to do stand-up videos, do you want stand-up video after stand-up video after stand-up video? If you're not doing anything in the videos, it gets for a pretty boring feed. So what can you do to kind of come across in different ways and mix that up? Okay, now we're moving into the next side, which is really more on the strategic side of what to use in branding and thinking about how to do it. Storytelling, I mean, it's already been talked about quite a bit today, but storytelling in digital spaces is critical, and it's an important part of the brand experience for almost everybody. Authentic stories, whether those are your company or whether they're your customer, whether it's your employees. Find authentic stories that you can share. It does allow us, like I talked about the Subaru, because enough people in the room think, she's a Subaru girl. You know what that means, right? Like, you get to know a little bit more of me, even just by something like what I drive. It's a small thing, but you keep adding small things, and the connections get deeper, and people feel more closely connected. And then I think most of us are better off when we use storytelling in various ways. Sometimes it can be educational, sometimes it's more testimonial driven. But I think there's a lot of different ways to do storytelling. Even just asking for your R&D people to help you with like a behind the scenes, like show me what that looks like. Or sharing something that users have done. Are we following? I know it's the end of the day, so you guys are probably about listening out, but if you have questions along the way, please make sure you ask. Another piece of branding and stuff is really your community and how you want to engage. Are you going to be somebody who responds promptly? Or are you going to be somebody who really doesn't care if people comment or ask questions and stuff like that? Now, for some brands, it works absolutely fine for nobody to reply. But those are usually like, almost like cult-driven, like people love them no matter what, right? Or it's celebrities kind of brands or something, right? Like, I don't expect a comment back from a celebrity if I'm commenting on their post. I'm really commenting more so others in the sphere would see it. It is nice to be able to encourage some of that interaction, even if you're doing like thought leadership and celebrity level, where you're not going to be commenting back. You can do polls, you can do Q&As, you can get, ask people, hey, here's what I've been thinking about. How does that strike you? those kind of things. And I think even celebrities do it well to recognize some members of the audience. Taylor Swift does not comment back to everybody ever, but now and then she will do something for members of her fan base, and every fan feels like that could have been them. So recognizing and celebrating folks makes a big piece too. Another strategy across the different ways is to personalize content. Not say it across major groups, but talk about impacts to individuals, yourself, customers, however that may work. And then to be able to put those messages together with interactions and different pieces, it really does bring it to life a little bit more. And I mentioned a minute ago, show the people behind the brand. People really love that. And if nothing else, it gets your people to love that, right? So I can remember when we had a protein scientist, and I didn't really even know there were protein scientists when I didn't go to ag comm school. So I met a protein scientist and I got her to tell her story. And the number of people who were like, that's what's behind BT corn and stuff is protein level science. She could be solving HIV, but she felt like it was so important to solve drought tolerance in corn that's what she picked. She's from Ethiopia and she's going to help feed the world. The way it changes so fast because it was a real person behind the scenes doing the work. I've said it time and time again, but I want you to make sure you think about it. How many of us have changed the avatar for a channel or the URL because you want them to go do something specific and you forget to ever go and change it back? 6 months later, somebody's like, hey, why does it still say Valentine's on the URL or something so set up a system through which you go in and you check each of your channels, making sure that it's all well taken care of, and audit your presence every now and then. I have a couple of friends, we do this for each other, because I miss stuff on my own channels. So if you have somebody else who loves to edit and copy edit and stuff like that, ask them to take a look at each of your channels. Say, look at my LinkedIn, see if it looks like I'm still professional. Look at my Instagram. Does it look like me? Does it fit the brand? That kind of stuff, because there are people who love it. All right, now we're to the part that I think you guys are going to wake up. And I want to look at some social accounts, and then let's see what kind of branding we have. Does anybody know? That's me with the red hair, but the other girl in the picture? Somebody does. It is the right word. Forages is the right word. You know who she is, too. Okay, where do you follow her?
Probably Instagram.
Okay. So her name is Alexis Nicole, and it depends on what channel. So she does go by Black Forager on Instagram, but she goes by Alexis Nicole on TikTok. I don't know, somebody else must have had the name, right? But I want to show you one of her videos, and we're going to just pray everything works so that you can see what we've got going on here.
I'm here to introduce you to your new favorite fruit, maybe. Don't think I don't see you hiding in there. I see you. Oh, this is a beautiful one. Have you ever seen these guys before? And no, they're not just a tall blueberry. These are the fruit of a honeysuckle. Here are its flowers. Thank you, future me. But these guys are edible to us, unlike these red berries that you may be seeing everywhere about now. This is the honeyberry, or the haskap, and it is native here. I really was living my life yesterday thinking that they were not native anywhere near me. And now that I know that they are, I'm getting some in my house. These guys are like better blueberries, so much more flavor. I'm a little obsessed. This fence, I'm here to introduce
So she is so the same person every day. every video you've ever seen of her, what does she do? She does a really close-up of her smiling. She does real close-ups of the plants. She explains science and yumminess or whatever it is, or if she's talking about poison plants, which she does occasionally, she will tell you, It's very excited on all of it. But she wears butterflies in her hair. She went from a account where nobody was following her to I think 4 million people follow her across 2 channels. She's just a black girl living in Ohio that likes to check out natural foods and forage. And now she's got crazy amounts of contracts. I met her at South by Southwest a couple of years ago, and you could tell, this is who she is. She's bebopping through the place. Now, she may have been a total introvert at home. When she may have been crashed out for the rest of the day because social media lets us think more people are extroverts than they are. But when she's in a public venue, she's going to extrovert all over. All right, let's see another one. This one is harder to identify. Anybody going to take any guesses? How quickly someone answers you is really a sign of how much they care about you. Nobody's going to guess. It's a strange thing that this is what he does. So it's Adam Grant, and he's been made kind of digital famous from TED Talks. He also has a number of books that you can see up there. He does podcasts with almost everybody who's anybody at some point. And all he does for his social media, for the most part, is he tweets something, and then he puts a filter on it and shares it everywhere else. I'm not joking. He takes screen grabs of his tweets and shares them on Instagram and LinkedIn. The thing is, he's always got good scientific exploration behind whatever he shares. He's really good. He's an organizational psychologist that teaches at Wharton. He works with a lot of businesses one-on-one on how to improve the insights in their companies, right? And he's so good that he always shares something that's timely, but he stays above it. He doesn't talk specifically about what's timely. The clearest example recently is the Astronomer CEO, which we're all tired of hearing about him being at the Coldplay concert. Adam Grant doesn't ever talk about that concert or anything like it, but the next day he had a nice tweet that he shared that said, morals are not something you turn on and turn off from your personal life to your professional life. Morals are something that guide your life. And people and companies need to remember that. People are more consistent with how they show morals across venues. And it was dang, Adam Grant came for him. All right, here's one maybe this is more recognizable. Anybody recognize this one? I see some people talking. Okay, go ahead and say it. Do you know who it is? Do you know their account? Do you know what they do? What's their brand? Subway Takes. See, you just told me his brand. You use Subway and Takes, even though you didn't know that's the name of the channel. You just know it. Huh? Yeah, and the thing that's really cool about his, and you'll see it, I've got a couple of his videos. He started, I'll show you one of his first videos, but he's just himself. It's a guy named Kareem in New York, usually. Here's one of the videos.
So what's your take?
Cool people from weird small towns are cooler than cool people from like big cool towns.
100% agree. I'm a cool person from a weird small town.
I'm also from a weird small town, Mobile, Alabama.
You're from Alabama?
I am.
You're from Mobile, Alabama?
I'm from Mobile.
Wow.
But I know what you're thinking. You think, oh, she's from Mobile, that's probably why she has this take. But actually, like, I feel like this is like a foolproof take.
And why do you think that is, that cool people from weird small towns are cooler than cool people from somewhere like New York City, for example?
Because they have like all the odds stacked against them, you know?
Right.
You're from a weird, like, I don't know, random Iowa place, and then you somehow have great taste in music, have a personal style, like maybe you are politically aware. That's like harder to do in a city like that.
Yeah, they came out in the mud.
They truly did. And then if you're from New York, I mean, nothing against New Yorkers.
We love New Yorkers.
I give them their props, but like, you kind of had it made for you.
If you have bad taste in music, bad taste in movies, bad taste in clothes, bad taste in general, and you were born in New
You're
York
like,
City,
you picked up somewhere.
you are stupid though. Muy estúpido.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I feel like it's so accessible here. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see how you could not become cool if you grew up here.
You know, in high school, when all the hot high schoolers peak in high school and then they get ugly as time goes on?
100%.
That's kind of the same philosophy.
It is.
I mean, you have to laugh at him, right? So the things he does every episode, it's almost always the Metro card that he's holding up to he's got the mic clipped to a Metro card for him and for his guest. So you can get good sound, but it also conveys that you're on the Metro, right? You can always tell they're on the subway. I've seen one where he was on a bus. I've seen him on the L in Chicago. I've seen him in Paris on the Metro, but he's a subway guy. And he's been doing this for years now, which I find amazing because now he's getting amazing opportunities to interview people, and he really wants to talk to regular people instead. So like Cheech and Chong had to get in a long wait list, even though, you know, it's Cheech and Chong, it would be fun. Always has yellow text over it. Always has it going back and forth between him and the other. Almost always is going to say 100% agree or 100% disagree. Every once in a while he'll say, "You'll have to convince me," or something because he's not sure. Only once have I seen him where it might have made the other person uncomfortable the way he reacted, because they said something about all introverts are morally weak, and he's like, "You're 100% wrong," and oh my God, that's so rude. How could you say it, right? Like, I mean, he was just like blown away. It's clear he doesn't know what they're going to come up with as his hot take, because sometimes he's like, "Whoa, that's a nervy move to take in front of a crowd of people." Okay. But he'll always find a way to make you laugh in the process, too. This is one of his very first videos, and I thought it was so funny because he still got him up there.
What's your take?
Vertical video has been an absolute cultural travesty.
Absolutely disagree.
It's one of the worst things that's happened in 100 years of filmmaking and cinema.
Any phone is vertical, so why would you make a horizontal video?
Because your eyes are horizontal.
That's the dumbest thing.
No, it's not.
Your eye?
You see the world. You see the world horizontal.
My brother in Christ, you go to a movie theater, the screen is huge. It makes sense that
It's horizontal.
when you have a phone in front of your face, you don't need vertical eyes to enjoy vertical content.
If your eyes were here and here, it would make sense.
I'm sorry, you're absolutely wrong.
Okay. Are you going to go to a movie theater and do you want to watch a screen like this?
I would absolutely love to go to a vertical film festival.
You know, I happen to be somebody who thinks that cinema is still an art form.
Cinema's racist.
All right.
Shooting horizontal videos is more expensive than shooting vertical videos, and therefore it's inherently racist.
Okay, anyone with the phone can turn the phone this way.
You're asking people to do extra work.
This is
He's not as argumentative today as he was in the early days, but he absolutely would tell somebody that says vertical video. He's like, "Dude, it's paying my bills at this point," right? So I think it's funny. He says whether or not he agrees, he's always going to have his own opinion. He rarely makes fun of other people's opinions, but, you know, I mean, saying vertical video and your eyes should, I mean, I don't even know where to go. So I think it was great that he was able to do that. This is the last of the, can you guess who this is? And I'm thinking there may be one person in the room who might know, but maybe not. Okay. So, so this one was really, I put it in my deck and then somebody told me that somebody in the room might hear. So, this is a friend of mine. When I was starting my small business, she was starting hers. She worked as an HR person for the school system where we live for 25 years and decided to start her own consulting business. Never had done any branding of any sort, never done marketing, right? She's an HR professional. And she started out by saying, I don't want people to dread dealing with HR. I want them to come to HR and find we want to help. I want to work with companies who want to supply that as a service to their employees. They want their employees empowered. They want their employees happy to work there. And so as she started picking color palettes and things like that, she picked happy colors. And her logo, if you can see it, it's small up there on the top, but there's a little HR and a yellow dot with the line coming through it. Kind of might give you an image of a happy face, which is part of the feel that she wants you to think of when it comes to HR and working with her. She's working mostly with nonprofits, some small businesses, but really, how many of us think of HR as a happy place? Like, most of us just have to get through it to get hired at a place, or, you know, it's the place they keep sending you when there's paperwork that's due or whatever. If she's going to shift the paradigm, she's trying to do it in a really authentic way. She doesn't spend a huge amount of money on studio time. She'll shoot a video, just her, in her office, sometimes better lit than others, but a lot of times she'll wear pink. She's got on a light pink t-shirt, right? It's almost all women-owned business. She's women business certified. But it is the way that she puts herself together. Her business is usually Tiffany out front, and then she starts building the rest of her team. So she's the person who's going to be in touch with you if you're a new customer, a new client. She's going to get to know you really well. And you're going to get to know her really well if you pay attention to her on social media. And it's a very different vibe, right? Among these 5 or so people I've showed you. Some are just fun. Some are very science-based and still fun. Some are really being thoughtful and thought leaders. So the way it's done so differently. And Tiffany, we went through an entrepreneurial program almost 6 years ago, and we still talk almost every Friday. So, you know, it's good for small businesses to have those people that back you up. So now I want to talk about some of the tools I use. You can use any other tools. This is not me saying these are the tools that need to be used at all. These are tools that work really well for small businesses and for individuals. I make Canva my top 5 when it comes to branding. If you're using Canva, are there any Canva fans in the room? Wow, that's a lot of Canva fans. Wow, anybody in the room hate Canva? It's okay. It's, as I said, not everybody's gonna love the same tools and stuff. What I think Canva's done a good job at is made it really cost-effective for people to be able to do a lot of different things. And if you are like me, the kind of person who will play with stuff until you almost break it, you can find wild things that you can do in Canva that others may not know. I'm going to walk through different parts of these different tools. And Canva, I'm going to walk through quite a few because I think it makes a big difference. You can set up brand kits so that has all your colors, all your fonts, everything. Now over there, you can also do things like set up a few brand pictures. Like if you have pictures that you have to dig through your entire hard drive for, or through that uploads list for days, you can make like there are 10 different pictures that are going to come up first in that brand. Huge lifesaver for me on a few things. Same thing with charts. If you're really science driven and things like that, you can have charts and data. There's also an AI tool where you can start creating your voice and getting it plugged in so that you could design a few things and then ask it to create a few more for you and see if it comes out okay or not. You can put in multiple different logos so that everybody's using the right one. It actually uses your PMS colors, or if you want to call them CMYK or whatever it is. You can get all of that, the right fonts, so that whoever's creating stuff doesn't create it look like somebody else has totally created that. That's sort of a green that we use, but not the green we use, right? Or, okay, well, we don't ever use any sans serif or something like that, right? You can set up templates. This is one of the things that I do for events. So when I'm working for an event company, I'll do different templates and we'll send that out to all the sponsors so that they can drop their picture in, they can put their booth number in, all that kind of stuff, and they don't have to worry about finding our logo or trying to create our logo, which God knows, sometimes people try to do that stuff for you. And they'll already come in with the pictures that we think look best, those kind of things. And then you can see, I use templates for everything in my business. It's like template happy. For others who are a little more controlling, you can set controls on what colors people can use. Can people add other colors to your set when they're building if you've got a team program? Like I could lock it down so nobody could do anything else, I guess. But for me, it's a small business. It's not the same as if I'm doing it on behalf of a company. What I find really cool about Canva is you can work with designers and get that stuff built in here so that people that are doing like even field days and stuff can do some things quickly and still make it look good. Because if you've ever worked in any company, you know that some people just want it done. They don't want to be on a list for 2 weeks, and they will get it done one way or another, and this is a way to get it done quickly and easily. A lot of things you can change the color, so Canva even makes it so you can change their logo color. Most of us aren't willing to do that, but Canva is. But all the icons and stuff, you can make it so that it looks like you. There's no reason to not let it look like you. On photos, the editing is so fast. So up there is the original photo. You can see it's a touch of a button and it takes the entire background out. In terms of product photography, oh my God, I wish I had this like forever ago. I work with a popcorn farmer, and the number of times we've had to redo things because the backgrounds and stuff. Now you just knock them out. And to be able to edit foreground and background separately, so I added more light on my face, make the background aperture blown out a little bit, that kind of stuff. All of that is just within a quick couple of clips. There's, if you can look on the piece over on the side, it'll let you just choose across the top when you hit edit, and then it'll let you choose foreground, background, entire picture, whatever. I'm just going to say be organized in using it. This isn't really about branding so much as making sure that you can find things for your brand later. So using folders and subfolders is really smart. It has team integration, so you can see who has access to stuff, and it'll give you little notifications. If you're like me and you don't reply fast enough, my people will come in and tell me, hey, Janice, you need to look at this. We want to da-da-da-da, or they'll just smile because that looked good enough. A totally different tool that I love is called Cast Magic, and I'm not sure whether anybody in the room would use that. It's if you're using audio and video, and you're having to convert that into something written. This is like mind-blowing. when you're on Zoom today, and I know Kristen does use it, when you're in Zoom, how many of you guys have been on Zoom meetings recently and there's like 4 or 5 Otter AI bots? Zoom has its own transcript service and stuff. Cast Magic takes like doing transcripts to like another level of being. So here you can set up spaces. So I have a few different ones. So over on the side, you can see I have one for the training program, Grounded in Ag. I have one for my podcast, Grounded by the Farm. And then I have some, I do also just YouTube videos specifically. And so when you set up a space, you can tell it what you're gonna be putting in that space. And it really is like one folder, you're gonna put everything in for my podcast. One thing for everything in my training. And then as you go through setting this space up, it's gonna ask you what your voice is, it's gonna ask you what kinds of content it is, it's gonna ask you for samples of the way you write so that it can deliver it in a way that sounds more like you. For me, and I know there's quite a few college students in the room, I treat AI like it's my intern. I wanna give them enough information to really be successful. I don't want to weigh them down with everything I know about something, right? Like, I want them to be successful, so give them some information that helps them along the way. And then what will happen is you'll get lots of content in there, but each piece of content will go on the same AI prompts. So there's a nice long list of prompts here. And some of them you can see there's an icon in the front, an emoji. So key session themes and 1-sentence summary. Those are things that Cast Magic has already written and put there for me. Like if I want to go and get those things, they're already there. I just have to say add it to the space. The others, I've written some for myself. And then you can see actually what the prompt says underneath it. And I've got all these screenshots and stuff if you guys want to download them. I'll give you the URL at the end. But it really does make it easy for you to figure out when there's also an explore community prompts, which is like Cast Magic figuring out that people like me being able to use it well means we'll probably tell other people how to use it. And it makes it easy for them to use it well because maybe you're doing something totally different than me. But when you get the output on the other end, you want it to feel like your publication, your organization, whatever it is. The custom prompts, they're gonna do what you tell it, so you may need to tweak it for a while until you get it right. But in this one, I tell it that I wanna get a few paragraphs as a summary of like a 45-minute video. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes my ADD mind just will not cut 45 minutes into 2 simple paragraphs and a few bullet points after it. Like, I just let myself get overcomplicated. And it will spit it out like that. So this was with a video I did with 2 farmers from Choteau, Oklahoma, 2 different dairy farms. And I asked it to give me that quick summary, some bullet points of the key topics, and their bios. And then I basically copy it, paste it into the training platform I'm using, and then I edit it like I would everything else, right? So rarely do they get the first sentence any way I would have it because I always have something specific I need to accomplish in this lesson versus the last 20 lessons. But it does a great job of giving me the first take on it. I'm also going to be able to take that information, put it in Canva, and make handouts. And I've gone crazy with handouts because, like, it's an educational product, but you know, like so many different handouts. And there's a way of doing it where there's these things that are going to run every time, right? Like the recurring prompts I told you. But then there's also a thing called Magic Chat, and I forgot to put a screenshot in here. But Magic Chat lets you interact with AI in real time. And on that, the cool thing is you can say, you know, if you're going to be pulling information on beef, I want you to use these resources. Like a class on beef genetics that I did. And default to Oklahoma State extension service if you need additional information. Don't look at all the crazy on the internet. Look at extension work. And it gets it really clearly put together. Okay, so the next one is Descript. Is anybody using Descript? It's a kind of weird one. You are? What do you use it for?
For podcasts, like audio editing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's really good at editing audio and video. Yeah. And it can do some recording and stuff like that. What I find it fits on branding side is more social video, right? So when you look at Descript, you can do any of those things up at the top. You can edit a video, you can make a podcast, you can add captions. So many of the TikToks and Reels that you see are edited with Descript because they come up with nice looking captioning instead of the automated captioning, right? And it comes in the brand colors. But, I will say this. The wildest thing, if anybody does video, is you can fix eye contact. Like if you have somebody that you go, can you just look at the camera for a few minutes on a Zoom? And then they still look at the screen instead. You know how you see that? Now you can't fix it if it's somebody like Temple Grandin that doesn't look people in the eye. Like that would not be true to her brand or anything like that, so be careful with it. It's been phenomenally good in a few cases where I really needed it, because occasionally people have really different setups where they're not looking at all towards you, and they look like you can't trust them if they're not looking at you at all. That's one of the wild ones. And one of the other things is they take out the uhs and ums, all those filler words, which is pretty amazing. All right, so from a branding perspective, you can tell it what kinds of clips you want to find. So that video with the two farmers was about 30 minutes long. I want maybe 5 or 6 social media clips, right? You're not going to go through an entire 45-minute video and put that on TikTok or Instagram. Ask the tool to select 5 or 6 clips, 60 to 90 seconds, and if you want to give it a topic, you can. It learns who you are, and then I put my colors on it so it looks right. My colors, I always also put a dark screen at the bottom for me, because a lot of times you're going to have a video overlay that comes across the bottom with their name, and I just want that to be not as obvious. They're not seeing the whole thing, because it's going to cut the vertical right from the horizontal video. All right, so yeah, I love it, the cows. So I think this one we can watch if you want.
And every cow here does have a name, so they all have a number, but they all have a name too. June, Hattie, Kiss, Glamour, Peony, Samantha Lou, Jess. We milk about 70 cows, so we're relatively small. The average dairy in Oklahoma is about 110 to 120 cows. But we're built to grow larger in the future, but we're kind of happy where we're at right now. So we wanted to make sure there were some cows up here to milk. So that's why these have been caught, and we're opening the gates to let them go to the robot.
So part of this that I love is it will also tell you why they picked the clips out on the side. So what about it really drew it in? All right, now I had been told, and I'm so glad I didn't really think I would, that we would have hardwired internet. So I did all this assuming I wouldn't have hardwired, and I don't. So I'm sorry, it's gonna be harder for me to do any like, here's how that works if you have those kind of questions. I will try and do it for you. But I'll finish up and then we'll do questions. Like I said earlier, the process is you need to start looking at branding, start doing some branding. For some of us, or for some people in our organizations, it's gonna feel icky from the beginning because they're gonna see it as too much marketing if you work in certain kinds of organizations or whatever it is, right? Or maybe it's all about who you are as a person. They think you wanna be a celebrity or something. Some people are gonna feel a little bit uncomfortable with it. Be uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable, but start finding some things that work for you. All right, and then This is the QR code is where I have all my slides so you can download them and a few links to the different things. What questions do you guys have? There's a lot of you guys are actually shooting the QR code. I should have been taking pictures of that. That looked pretty cool. All right, what questions do you guys have for me? I love that, Jenny. Could some of you guys, would you mind holding up your phone since Jenny said some of you would do it? That's so funny. Thank you. Humor me. It's the little things, Jenny. She's actually got a microphone if you guys want to ask questions. Come on. Do you want to tell me about a brand that's really sucked or really done something cool? She'll do one up front. And then we'll get you next.
Okay, so my question, if you're coming into a place where like they have a bunch of different logos for all sorts of different projects, like nothing is cohesive, where do you start to begin getting it cohesive?
Wow. So it's an organization, a company. Can you tell me that much?
Yeah, so basically, and they have like
Are they
multiple
products,
different, a membership organization that also has different products, and like over the years, different services and products have been added, and then they all develop a different logo with a different shade of, like none of it is really cohesive, right? So what is the right move to get that all on a more cohesive look and feel? And yeah.
So, and my guess is some of those people have been there a few years longer than you, right?
Correct.
So they may have a lot of different ownership in the fact that they've had this individuality.
Right.
So I think what helps for me is when you start the next project, let's look at what else that should fit with. What else where are we connecting? Look at the organizational side. So even in this slide set, you can see I have my company branding, grounded communications versus a training platform. But I ultimately want the colors to look okay if I put them together, right?
Right.
So the tan khaki color is something that I have kind of connected. So start thinking about what connections you could make. Are there some that you could slightly change the look of? Is it a font question? Is it a color question? And start, quietly, not in their faces, especially in companies where people are really proud of what they've done in the past, because you don't want to take away from what they've done in the past, but to help them see what branding could do and what that could offer, go, well, what if we paired these two together? Since they're both like farmer-oriented events.
Sure, yep.
Can we come up with a way of pulling those together and start working on the feel, right? And I think if you try and start talking to people about what we want people to think of, what we want them to feel when they hear the name of our organization, and then what do we want them to take away from this training platform or this event or whatever, like ultimately you want them all to ladder up. So then thinking about what maybe that umbrella could look like that would then segment down. But if you can take it in stages, unless you have a champion high up, because if you don't have that champion high up, it's hard. Start small. And know in your mind, we're going to get to better places, right? That's part of it. And then you start mounting, these are some wins. And once people start seeing and feeling the difference, they'll start getting it. Does it need to be more modernized? Does it need to feel more farmer focused, right? Like whatever it is. If you know what the company or organization's trying to do, and you can start with that umbrella and one or two of the smaller pieces instead of trying to change everything at once, you're going to be in a better spot.
Thank you.
There was another question over here. Hi.
My question's quick. I'm just curious, what's your handle so we can start seeing your brand?
God help me. So grounded communications on most channels, but like she mentioned in the beginning, I personally am JP Loves Cotton. I swear I didn't do anything to make it make a hum.
It might be this one.
Okay, yeah. JP Loves Cotton is my personal brand, and I'll share whatever I want to on God's planet there. And then I have channels for Grounded Communications. Grounded Communications does share a lot of Grounded and Ag stuff. On LinkedIn, though, Grounded and Ag needed its own play, right? So thinking about which channels are appropriate to the brand is important. Ultimately, I've never had a Grounded Communications channel on TikTok. I have a Grounded by the Farm there for the podcast because the audience demographic's younger. Might one day have a Grounded and Ag, just haven't decided to go that way yet. But thinking about where to put the right pieces so that then you can be consistent if you're on a channel. Mm-hmm. And another one back there. Maybe she'll be far enough back that the microphone being on. I'll turn mine off.
Hi, I'm thinking through how we get more bang for our buck when we spend time creating original content. And so one of the things I'm thinking about for next year is leading with video and then breaking that down into smaller other kinds of pieces, or leading with blogs. And this presentation makes me think maybe I should lead with video. But we don't have a ton of opportunity to get original video. Could you tell me more about when you collected the video samples that you showed, and how much video do you need to kind of create the materials that you had?
So I think a lot of people think they can't collect video that probably can. So most of the video I shoot is on my iPhone. I mean, I have 25 hours worth of training that people are buying today, and almost all of it was shot on my iPhone. I have a nice Canon camera, but the battery life on it, I used to carry all these batteries. And it was hard to deal with people, right? Like, so I think good lighting and a quick, inexpensive mic makes video so easy. Do get the quick, inexpensive mic, whether you put it on a Metro card or what. I think video repurposing is so easy. It's so easy. The question is how many people do you have that are willing to do it for you? And that's a real issue in some businesses, not in others. But I'll tell you, the New York Times thought they had nobody who wanted to do audio and video at one time. And Michael Barbaro is one of the best podcast hosts ever. And he worked at the New York Times for 15 years before he became a podcaster. So there may be people there that you just haven't asked, right? And as communicators, we're bad at that sometimes. We don't always include different folks. But the ability to repackage in so many different ways is awesome with video. I'd really encourage you. Stacy has something to say, I think. I'm very surprised Stacy has something to say.
I was just going to say, wow, that's real hot, that my mantra is record once and use often. So you should be recording everything you do and use it at least 4 times. At least multiple social media posts, and put everything on your website, because you want to drive everyone back to your website. Even if there's not a link on social media, it should go to your website. Words on your website are how people find you. It's how AI finds you. It's how all the things. So I think that's really important. And as a video production company, it's real hard for us to give up control. But I think you can also understand that you can have ad-lib video or less produced video as well as produced video all mixed together, and people just don't, they lower their expectations, I guess, for that. So some of the most engaged posts we get from our, for one of our clients is photos from the field. And let me tell you, I get some real gems that I have to make look good and at least have a straight horizon, right? I have some minimums of standards, but we also send out a reminder to we got one guy internally that will send a reminder to a different sales rep every week to send photos. And you'd be surprised if you can train middle-aged men to shoot photos, you can accomplish anything in this world. But there are very good cell phone cameras, and I've sent people to Africa with them, And I've sent them training and said, this is what I want. And even with video, I'm like, shoot for 10 seconds at a time. You don't have to move that much. Like people, to Janice's point, like you'd be surprised there are people that are willing to do it. If you just say, I need a photo, that's not enough. Don't make it so open for them. Say, hey, could you go take a picture of a field? Please have a sign in it.
And I think you can also as audio, if you wanted to record it as audio, and then put different photos and video across it. You know, sometimes you can even pull things off of Canva as stock video or stock. It's fine. But it will get more people to pause if you can do more video and action. Just because that's what makes people's eyes snap together, right? And their thumbs stop it. Well, I really appreciate you guys have been so lovely because happy hour is about to start, and I did not realize that I was like going to be right before happy hour. So to have anybody left in the room, I feel like I've won for the day. Thank you very much. I hope the slides and stuff are helpful. If you need to get in touch with me, I've got cards. I didn't think to put my email address on there, but happy to have you guys shout out at me or something. Thank you.